Well, good morning, everyone. We still have some seats up front in the shade. I'd like to welcome you. I'm so glad so many people could be here to celebrate with us this momentous occasion, the ribbon cutting for the emergency department at Ojai Valley Community Hospital. My name's Mary Jo Garrett. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer of the hospital, and I'll be your MC today. So many people have supported this project. I wish I could thank you all, but I would be remiss if I failed to thank the staff here at Ojai Valley Community Hospital. Two individuals stand out. Stephanie Boynton, RN, she's the manager of the emergency room. All of the ER staff who participated in planning this emergency department. And particularly I'd like to thank Robert Roddick, the Director of Support Services. Robert has coordinated this effort from the start. He and his team have worked on this project for over 2 years, and they've done an outstanding job, as you can see. Shallant Sprague, her generosity served as the impetus for this new emergency department. And once I asked Shallant why she had decided to make this contribution. So she told me the story. Manny, her husband, had been ill. He had been in the hospital, out of the hospital, and on one of the visits to the emergency room, it was a busy night and all the beds were filled. And Manny was parked on a gurney in the hallway, waiting for test results. Shallant was quick to add that she thought the staff was wonderful and they were doing the best that they could under the circumstances. And she told me that as she stood beside Manny there in the hallway, she said to herself, I can do something about this. And she did. So thank you, Shallant. I'd like to introduce our speaker, Marty Pops, Dr. Marty Pops.
Thanks, Rachel. A couple of things. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it's a delight to be here, and there's a lot of people to be thanked, and that's going to happen. But let me give you just a very quick history. It's interesting and sort of ironic. Today is October 1st, 2009. On October 1st, the year 2000 was the day that escrow closed and this hospital became that of the community with a new foundation that had been formed at that point. Alan Raines was the chairman, the first chairman of our board. And Alan, are you immediately available? Raise your hand. That's the guy. I don't think any of this would have happened without Alan. I think this place would be closed. It probably would become a Chumash Indian casino, which I thought it should for a while. But pertinent to that, after the October 1st, 2000 date, the then board, including Alan, myself, Joan Kemper, Bob Buckingham, Jim Halverson, I'm sure I'm leaving a few people out. It was a small board. Remember, we got together and we sent out a questionnaire to a cross-section of the Ojai Valley saying, what do you want out of this hospital? What do you want this hospital to provide for you? And overwhelmingly, the response was, we want an up-to-date, capable, efficient emergency room for emergency services. And that became the mandate. It took a little while to do it. Of course, it didn't look like it was going to happen until we got together with Community Memorial Hospital, and in 2005, the merger was completed, and subsequently, as a result of the fact that we now have a system And due to the leadership of people like Gary Wild, this became a reality. So there are a lot of people to thank, and Gary will do that. Let me first read something that I received an email last week. They couldn't be here today. This is from Dan Sprague. Dan is Mansfield Sprague's son, stepson to Shalon, and was unable to be with us today. He says, "Hooray, what a much anticipated, marvelous day this is. Shalon Sprague is surely cheering wildly that her favorite project is now complete, ready to serve the residents of beautiful Ojai. For those of you who may not know, in addition to Shalon's generous $500,000 gift as part of this impressive ER renovation, she previously helped renovate 2 hospital bedrooms, and she has left the bulk of her remaining estate to support the Community Hospital Foundation, providing for a significant annual operating gift to the hospital in perpetuity. That, might I say, is in excess of $3 million. In short, Shalon Sprague dearly loved the Ojai community and therefore sought to devote her lifelong savings to serve the urgent needs of all of Ojai's treasured citizens. Today, this passionate vision comes to life, and Shalon is thrilled for the community, for the foundation, volunteer leaders, the hospital administrators, and the medical staff who served her so well. Members of the Sprague family on the East Coast could not be present today, but will be viewing the new facility later in November and wish to thank all concerned for their patience, persistence, and unflagging support for this substantial renovation. We thought that it would be appropriate to do something in perpetuity.
I'd like to invite Tim Wolf. Tim is the chair of the Ojai Valley Community Hospital Foundation.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you all again for attending this significant event in the life of our community hospital. Today's celebration of the emergency room ribbon cutting is a clear example of what is possible when the community supports a project that is deemed to be vitally necessary. We are all so excited to see the end result of several years of very hard work, our beautiful new emergency room. At this time, I'd like to recognize the following people and organizations which have made this project a success. We're going to be repeating Shalon's name many times today. The late Shalon Sprague and her family foundation for their vision and significant contribution to kickstart the improvement plans. I had a chance to meet Shalon on several occasions, and I do know that she would be extremely, extremely proud to see what's here today. Also, the Community Memorial Health System and Dr. Gary Wild, which I know Dr. Gary Wild does not like to hear that, but I think it's extremely important also to mention this. He had the foresight to recognize the asset that we have in the Ojai Valley, and when he acquired the hospital in 2005. Since that time, the operating efficiencies, patient care, staff morale, and staff morale at the hospital have been greatly improved. The Ojai Valley Community Hospital Foundation and the Hospital Guild for their tireless efforts supporting and advocating improvements to the Ojai Valley Community Hospital. And lastly, and most importantly, to the entire community, who has shown their support for this hospital by electing to use the hospital as well as financially supporting it through the foundation and guild events. Over the past 4 years, the Ojai Valley Community Hospital Foundation, with the completion of this new emergency room, will have contributed over $2.7 million towards critically needed projects at this hospital. These projects include remodeling of the patient rooms, renovation of the landscaping, funding of operational programs including the Keeler Center for assessing and managing migraine headaches, construction of the engineering building and parking lot addition, improved handicap access to the continuing care center, purchase and implementation of the PAC system, modernization of the patient call light system, numerous important medical equipment purchases, and now we are providing approximately $800,000 to help fund this new emergency room. As impressive as this list is, this is only the beginning of many significant improvements we have planned for the hospital. Soon we will initiate a capital campaign to begin the process of bringing the following additional upgrades to the hospital: renovation of the continuing care center, earthquake retrofitting of the hospital, which includes updating the exterior of the buildings, enhancing the radiology department, adding an outpatient area as well as a new post-anesthesia care unit, updating aging infrastructure of the hospital, and supporting the introduction of programs to further enhance the health care received at the hospital. Some of you may know that this hospital will be 50 years old next year. What better way to celebrate the anniversary than to improve the hospital to ensure our community will continue to enjoy the benefit of first-class local healthcare facility for many years to come. Please consider how you can help maintain and improve this hospital with your personal financial support. Had to get that in. Thank you again for joining us at this celebration and for your continued support for our community hospital. Thanks again.
Thank you. The president of the Ojai Valley Emergency Physicians Group, Dr. Betsy Patterson.
Thank you all for coming, and I don't think I can convey to you the true excitement and emotion that we all feel for this new, and I want everybody to take away this message, this new emergency department. We are no longer a room, and for anyone in here who has not visited our current emergency room, you must see that either before or after you see our new emergency department. We are thrilled, and I've been asked to talk about how this will affect the medical care or the medical improvements or clinical effects on patients in this community. And so I thought what I would do is just a little bit down memory lane. People that I've talked to today in the last few days have memories of the old emergency department. Someone I talked to, a good friend, said 40 years ago when he was 8, he was in that room. He remembers it. Same green floor, same green tile wall. Hasn't changed. Another staff member mentioned that when she started working here 32 years ago, that was 12 years after the hospital had been built, they were talking about building a new emergency department, making it bigger. It's taken a long time. One of my colleagues who's been here almost 30 years working in the emergency department, or 20 years, yeah, 30 years, also remembers that they've been talking about this for a long time. And I know I've been here for 17 or 18 years, and almost day one when I walked in, it goes, we can make this better, I'm sure. So it's taken a time, but you will be delighted at what you will see. And just briefly, I'm going to give you a little preview of how it's different and how it's improved. One, first of all, if you arrive as a patient to the emergency department in your own car, you'll walk through the door and not be walking through the ambulance entrance with people in the waiting room lining the hallways. No, you will note to your right there is a true waiting room. And to your left, there is the admitting department who will greet you and privately ask you what it is that you're here for, so that the entire waiting room won't know that you're here for that embarrassing problem. And the smiling, now smiling, actually she's always a smiling admitting clerk, but anyway, will be part of our department. So instead of having to get up, walk around, try to find the nurse, she'll simply turn around and say, we have a patient who needs to be triaged. A new concept here. That's where you actually get to tell a medical person what your problem is, and they decide what level of urgency it is. And if it's, oh my gosh, I'm having chest pain, you will come immediately into the department. If it's, oh, I sprained my finger 4 weeks ago and I just wanted to have it checked out, you will probably be given a little bit of information and asked to wait in the waiting room. But the waiting room is delightful. It looks out into what we hope will be a garden area, and it'll be a pleasant wait. Once you talk with a triage person and she decides you need to come in to the emergency department, you'll go into a large, airy, well-lit department which has 6 individual private rooms. What a concept! Private, no longer curtains. And the rooms are big enough so that, oh my gosh, your family member could actually be with you in the room. Now, for the staff, this is wonderful for us. One, because we can now talk to the patients privately and evaluate them and talk with the family members and not have to hear the patient in the next bed say, "Doc, I know what's wrong with that patient in bed too, and I can tell you how to fix it." So for us, it's going to be great. But I think you'll discover that it is a much more comfortable, much more relaxing, and much more caring environment. And having gotten us out of that rat cage where we're all packed in like sardines and we have a little more space, we'll probably have a lot more smiles on our face and give you better care. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you again to all of you for coming, and we are so proud of our new emergency department.
Representing the city of Ojai, Sue Horgan, City Council member.
Well, for the city of Ojai, and certainly for our residents and our visitors, today is really a great day for celebration. This hospital is so important to our community. Considering our location and the rural nature of our community, having a first-rate hospital is of utmost importance. Many of you will remember just a few years ago when rains and mudslides washed out 3 of the 4 roads coming into or going out of town. It was truly an emergency, and that made it clear to us how important this hospital is. And more importantly, every single day, it is made clear to us how important this is by every single emergency department visit. So on behalf of the city of Ojai, I would like to acknowledge the incredible generosity of so many people, but of course starting with Shallant Sprague, and also the generosity of all of the donors to the hospital. And it's wonderful that so many of you are here today. Because of your generosity, you have given the gift of life to our community. Thank you. I also, not to be redundant, but from the city's standpoint, I really want to thank the hard work of the Hospital Foundation Board, of the Guild and its members, of the auxiliary, and also of all of the volunteers who give so much of their own time and energy and resources. Thank you for what you've done for our hospital. And of course, it is the nurses, the doctors, and all of the hospital staff that make the Ojai Community Hospital what a wonderful place that it is. Thank you to all of you. We can't thank you enough for what you do for us here. And as to Gary Wild and the board of the Community Memorial Health Systems, thank you for your belief in this hospital and your support of this hospital. And thank you for your leadership to help get us to this day. Thank you to all of you who are here. I say congratulations to all of us, and I say let's cut the ribbon and let's celebrate. Thank you.
We'll be cutting that ribbon in a few minutes. Our final speaker is the President and CEO of the Community Memorial Health System, Gary Wild.
Thank you, Mary Jo. This is such a pleasure for us to be here. I think Sue said it best. We're congratulating each other. This has been a team sport from the very beginning, and it finally has arrived. It took a couple of months longer than we thought, a few more dollars than we thought, but I want to just pause for a moment, and it feels so good, doesn't it, when we get behind something so important as this, to actually see it come to realization and to enjoy the fruits of all of our collective labors. The emergency department means more than just a building. It really embodies, in my mind, a very important milestone for our community in Ojai. It really means that we can provide, for as far in the future that we can see, state-of-the-art care to the residents in the Ojai Valley. We have very gifted physicians, nurses. They've been congratulated. We have wonderful first responders in our Ojai Valley, only a few of which are over here, stationed next to the ambulance. We have a system. We have a healthcare system that allows any patient who cannot be treated for the full portion of their care here, serious heart ailments or neurosurgical problems, so forth, they can immediately be taken to the larger facility in Ventura. Again, a seamless approach for state-of-the-art care. We're moving forward as a community. In your program, you can see other things that we plan to do. We're not stopping here by any means. There's just this partial list of additional things that we plan to do at this facility, including improving the radiology department, exterior remodeling, outpatient addition, the continuing care center improvements, and other changes that over time will continue to allow us to provide state-of-the-art care right here in the Ojai Valley. I have received a certificate of occupancy. And in fact, if my fingers went over the ink here, I would have some wet ink on my hands. It was just this morning. But we still need to go through a second step. Bureaucracies as they are requires the state agency of OSHPA to come and say the building is perfectly okay, and then Department of Health Services needs to also come. They could come as soon as tomorrow or as long as 3 weeks. And so if you have an influence with them, encourage them to come. But it's important to note that because nobody can get sick or injured until they're done. We don't want anybody to, we want you to tour the emergency room, but we want you to see, if you ever get sick, heaven forbid, we want you to see the new department instead of the room. There have been a number of people who have been thanked. I'm not going to repeat all these, but perhaps to pause again to acknowledge the staff here at Ojai was so instrumental. Robert was a bird dog for this. Thank you again. Stephanie, you and your department of nurses, giving the oversight, giving input to our architect, Barry Mosesman, to really design this in a way that is so nice. McGilvery Construction did such a great job. When you start doing construction in an old building, you get surprised by this change in that thing, and they were very patient, did an outstanding job. The medical staff here at Ojai is superior, particularly for a community our size. They are simply an outstanding group of individuals. We thank them and acknowledge them. We thank also all of the donors. Shalant's name has been mentioned and repeated appropriately today. She had the vision and she got behind a cause, and leading with her heart, she thought she could do something better for the community. Our only regret is that we were not able to respond to that vision as quickly, but somehow I believe that Shalant is looking down on us or is with us, that she can appreciate what we're doing today. We have the boards of the health system to thank. I won't acknowledge all of them. There's about 8 of them here, but they mean so much to us and our community. 2 of whom I want to highlight, though, Hoot Bennett and Bob Lagomarcino, are former mayors of Ojai. And so Hoot and Bob, this has to feel particularly good for you two over here to see this happen. We also recognize Debbie Faulkner. Debbie, are you here? Debbie represents the Sprague family, and we appreciate her so much. Now, with listing all these names, and there are many others, we could include everybody here in all those who participate and make this happen. It's a team sport, as I've said. However, there's one individual who really took the lead. Every team needs a quarterback, and our quarterback from the beginning to the end has been Barbara Pops. Barbara, would you please stand? Where is Barbara? She's right over here. Okay. Barbara saw this vision. I remember very well when the merger was approved. We were walking out the door with the representative from the state of California, pulled me aside and said, Gary, there's one thing I want to tell you. Whatever you do, you've got to build a new emergency department. And Barbara, working with Chalant, working with so many others, was able to organize with her leadership, galvanize support, create the vision, and make this happen. She truly is, in every sense of the word, a community leader. She's probably embarrassed that I would even talk in this way about her, because she is, her leadership also has the component of humility, but she really is the cause behind this. Again, let's congratulate Barbara Pop for her outstanding leadership. Now, because we have such a large team, we're going to have a large group of people to help us cut the ribbon. I'm going to first invite, and I think she would think this would be very fitting, Shalant's friends, her bridge partners, to come forward. And Larry, if I mispronounce the name, I really apologize. Larry Bjornsted, Harriet Erickson, Patsy Glenn, Ann Gartell, Ginger Wilson, Eleanor Brown, Jan Raines, and Paula Thies. If you would just come right over here and stand over here. There's others that are going to join you.
We're glad we lost all of our money to him.
They said, we're glad we lost all of our money to Chalant. So in very real deed, they are contributors to this cause. In addition to the Bridge Group, we'd like to invite the Ojai Foundation Executive Committee to come forward. You know who you are. The Ojai Hospital Guild Executive Committee to join us. We invite Betsy Patterson, representing the medical staff and the emergency room group, to join us. The Chief of Staff, John Slott, to join us. Mary Jo Garrett, of course, our Chief Administrative Officer. Stephanie Boyton, representing the nurses from the Emergency Department. Robert Roddick, again, from the Facility Management Group. Marty and Barbara Pops, representing the Board of Trustees and also the leadership of the foundation. Alan Raines, who got us started 9 years ago today. And Debbie Faulkner, if you would please join us also, representing the Sprague family. And we're going to go over here and get instructions, so just bear with us. And a big cheer when the ribbon is cut, okay? And now we'd like you to invite you in to come see the emergency department. Please join us on a tour of the department. And thanks for being here. Oh, over here, right over here, this side over here. Thank you again for being here and enjoying the celebration.